Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Appreciate you coming by the channel. Today I'm going to talk about Rise of Skywalker. I know that I'm way late to the party as this has been out for a couple months. I have thought about seeing it multiple times, but it just so happens that it dropped on Disney Plus this last week. And so let's talk about this disaster. All right, first off, I don't want to berate the entire thing as a whole. As a movie in general, good graphics, decent storytelling. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end that people can follow. It does play into a little bit of lore that make it kind of interesting for the original Star Wars fans. But to be honest, this movie in general has to pick up the broken pieces of a movie number 8. What it has to work with, sure, they do an okay job. But they do a lot of things that don't make it really possible, or it breaks down inside of Star Wars fandom and the canon that they have set up, and it blows it all apart. We'll get into a couple of pieces of that in just a second, but I just want to say that I was not impressed. I was not happy with the turnout that happened with it, and here's a few reasons why. Number one, the saga trilogy as a whole started out relatively decent, and it gave forth here's a new storyline. This should be pretty interesting. You have Rey getting called out to a lightsaber, and then you have the old 3 characters all come up, and they have their epic reveals and that sort of stuff. But the series in all was just lacking in the fact that there's not much character arc, and I believe what happened is you have 3 new people that are trying to develop their character arcs at the same time that you have 3 existing characters finishing their character arcs that were already finished within number 6. So weighing the scales, having 2 sets of main characters that each play vital roles within the story, and you're trying to play to old Star Wars fans with the old set of characters and play to new Star Wars fans setting up new characters. I feel like there was too much that they were trying to develop all the way around that kind of made the series fall flat. It didn't help with a lot of the decisions that were made during the series in general. I feel like Snoke was not done very correctly as far as showing who he was and what his abilities were and his entire goal and everything. They kind of abruptly took him out during the 8th movie, and that was surprising for me, number one. And number two, I felt like I didn't really get to know the villain all that well at all, in the same way that we feel like Darth Vader is a huge, huge problem, and then you find out that there's a guy behind him pulling the strings called the Emperor in 4, 5, 6. So it's hard for me to see how there is a good flow that can be conducted when you have a group of characters that need to be developed, but you have a group of old characters that are stealing the spotlight, or at least sharing the spotlight, and you're wanting to watch those characters develop as well. And you get all this backstory, and there's a lot that has to be unfolded, and there's not really enough time to do it. So I feel like that premise in and of itself, having 2 sets of main characters, really dropped this series to be able to be something special that people could actually enjoy. But moving along from that, when we talk about this specific one, there's so many plot holes, and there's so many just twisted, not really following what was happening before, that blows your mind. Just to begin off the bat, we start in the Millennium Falcon, and we have all these different characters that we don't know about, different creatures and things. And there's obviously some stuff that got cut from the movie just because of the fact that you have lines to characters who should probably be unnamed or not knowing, but somehow are known and are supposed to be known, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it was supposed to be there, but I'm sure there was some sort of funny clipped, segment in which that was going to be a relatively decent line to have in the movie, but it was just skipped over due to the fact that we didn't have enough time, is my assumption. And so just right off the bat, you're kind of hit in the face with like okay, what in the heck is that? What the heck is going on with any of it? But that's very minuscule compared to the parts of just like the dynamics between the friendships and how they actually are working. And then the compounding factor of different lines, such as what were you going to say to Rey? What were you going to say to Rey? That's come up like 4 different times within the movie. And they never resolve that. They never tell you what happens with that. You get introduced into who the villain's going to be, which is apparently the Emperor again. That right there slaps you in the face, because the whole idea of the entire the entire 2 sagas in the beginning was that Anakin was the chosen one and he was going to balance the Force. Well, you have this Sith Lord that is unbalancing the Force, and Anakin picks him up and throws him into the middle of the Death Star, and the Death Star completely breaks apart and there's nothing left of it. And in that occasion, Anakin was the one who was, supposed to be the chosen one to be able to do it. And eventually fills that prophecy way, way, way down the road by killing the Emperor. But now the Emperor is back. So kind of a big slap in the face to everything there. But that's also because they took out Snoke in number 8. So it's like, okay, well, we have to have a villain for this one. And I'm almost positive there had to be a very large ranging storyline across the 3 movies, that they knew they were going to do 3 movies and make another saga, and that this is what was going to happen. But with it, introduction to the Emperor was kind of a slap in the face, just due to the fact that, like, the whole thing that Anakin did and the whole breaking apart his bad side when he saw his son being attacked, and then just, killing the Emperor, that was all just thrown out the window. Like it wasn't even anything, because it was like, we're just going to introduce this other guy. I just can't get over that. I'm going to keep repeating that over and over again, just because it blew my mind when they decided to use him as the other person. As far as other plot lines go, plot holes go, I'm not going to go into a lot, because there's a plethora that you can use from it. Like, how does the fleet get made on this outer rim planet that doesn't really have anything going for it, and then we have this force heal that gets put in, and so death becomes completely obsolete just due to the fact that anybody who dies, Rey can now force heal them. And then, when a character does die, such as, they have the fight on the Death Star ship in the middle of the water planet or whatever, she stabs Kylo Ren, and she's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And then, heals him and brings him back. And it's just like, okay, so anytime anybody dies, technically she could just heal them and bring them back. So it's like death is obsolete, and there's not really a tendency that makes it really that bad or anything. Was not a huge fan of the Kylo Ren Rey kiss after the whole thing, just due to the fact that they've been way up in the air about the dynamics between the 3 and then I mean, this keeps going. My mind keeps rambling on to different things. Like Finn was force sensitive at one point, right? Well, he's not force sensitive toward the end of like he was going to be, but he wasn't going to be. And there were going to be the 2 kind of Jedis, but there aren't 2 kind of Anyway, I'm not very happy with the way that the saga turned out. I believe that there's something to be said here about the fact that a large corporation taking over a very small organization that has developed a world and a culture that stems far beyond what we're actually seeing in the movies, them taking it over and then just ripping it apart because they can they have the backing to do a lot of stuff that the small culture couldn't do. And it breaks apart the cohesiveness. It breaks apart the beauty of what was made, due to the fact that they're trying to make it more entertaining. Seen it a couple of times. Game of Thrones season 8 comes back and it just slaps you in the face. But that was more or less writer's fault. Adaptation from nothing compared to adaptation from solid material. Anyway, was not pleased with the film. Tell me what your thoughts are down below. If you like stuff like this where we review type different shows and things, think about hitting the subscribe button. Would really appreciate it. I stream video games on Twitch. If you want to come over and say what's up, we can talk about Star Wars. We can talk about whatever you want to do. Love football, as you can tell back here. I'm also wearing a Cowboy shirt. So if you want to talk about football, I'm over at twitch.tv/footballfreak215. Would love to see you over there. There should be some other stuff popping up right here. If you want to take a look at those, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But for me, I'm going to get out of here. See you later. Enjoy you coming by, and have a great day.